Link's Awakening is a beloved classic. It's an iconic game full of memorable moments that have been engraved into the minds of many people. Heck, it was even popular enough to get a whole remake on the Switch. And Nintendo doesn't really rebuild games from the ground up. They usually just slap an HD patch on it and call it a day. There is no doubt that Link's Awakening is a wonderful game, and people have been and will continue to sing its praises for years to come. And the recent remake proves that the style and formula for this game works and remains relevant to this day. It is truly a masterpiece of a game and deserves all the attention it has received. With that in mind, why isn't anyone talking about the Oracle games? Do you even know what I'm talking about? Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons? They were made in the same engine, for the same platform, and they were just as good. But when I bring it up, no one knows anything about them. I know that I don't have a very big social life, and I'm pulling from a very small group of people, but more people need to play this game, dang it, and I'm here to convince you that you need to play it too. I know this is a very biased opinion, but I think Oracle of Ages is better than Link's Awakening. First things first, let's just point out the biggest difference between these classics. Oracle of Ages is part of a duo of games. Much like main series Pokemon games, it came out with its counterpart, Oracle of Seasons, and by playing them jointly, you would get more out of the game. You would receive codes that could be inputted into each game, and unlock a slightly different version of the story with some new NPCs, villains, gear, and an additional final boss. Pretty neat. I will be just talking about Oracle of Ages today, since these are two full games, and I would rather they each have their own dedicated video. Oracle of Ages was released on the Game Boy Color on February 27th, 2001, 20 days after my 5th birthday, 55 days after the launch of RuneScape, and about a month before the Game Boy Advance launched. What a great start to a year. Releasing right at the end of the Game Boy Color's lifetime was an odd choice and probably has something to do with the game's current obscurity, and I myself almost missed it entirely. In Oracle of Ages, Link begins his adventure by heeding the summons of the Triforce. I think this is pretty interesting, starting the game with Link already established as a hero, and the gods are actively looking for potential threats, and Link is just ready to go at the drop of a hat. He walks into the temple housing the Triforce, and it whisks him away to a completely different land, and the only instructions he gets is... It's not really a lot to go off of, but okay. Upon landing, Link immediately runs into Impa, who looks just a little different from her usual edgy ninja appearance. She's got a message from Zelda that she needs to get to a girl named Nayru, but was attacked by monsters. Like the hero he is, Link rescues her and escorts her to Nayru. We move past the peculiar rock and find Nayru, surrounded by cute forest animals that are all entranced by her beautiful singing. Apparently, Nayru is a Disney princess. Anyway, we go talk to Nayru, and everything seems all hunky-dory, but then in the corner, Impa starts giggling like a creep.
Oh, this is gonna be one of those days, isn't it?
Oh no, Impa has been possessed by an evil sorceress named Varen, and we just let her pass the protective barrier. I mean, accidents happen, right? Varen quickly possesses Nayru's body and harnesses her power as the Oracle of Ages, what do you know, and begins to manipulate the flow of time. This is where we get our first look at some darker tones in this game. We get a quick montage as people are affected by the tampering of time. This young man becomes old and wrinkled right in front of his partner, who runs away screaming. And this boy just freezes in place, his grandmother helplessly nudging him, trying to get him to move. Naturally, Link jumps into action to give chase, but he isn't the only one. Nayru's loyal friend, Ralph, also jumps into the time portal, and they venture into the past to try to rescue Nayru from Varen. And so our stage is set. The timeline is in turmoil, and Link has to restore balance, as well as find a way to rip Nayru away from Varen, because if we were to just attack her now, we would just be hurting Nayru, and that's a problem. And if things weren't complicated enough already, Varen goes and brainwashes the Queen. and now she has the protection of the entire royal army, and is forcing the townspeople to work non-stop to make a giant tower. The queen thinks it's some monument to her greatness, but Varen is definitely up to something more devilish. Yep, this is a lot to handle on our own. We're gonna need some help. And who better to ask than the guardian spirit of the town, the Maku Tree. Move aside, fish girls. Move aside, farm girls. There is a new girl crushing on Link, and it's a big, sentient tree. Link, this is crossing a line. This is not okay. So yeah, Link saves the Maku Tree from some monsters, and in return, she wants to marry Link. As you do. Oh, and she also gives us hints on where we need to be going next. Yeah, we're going to be talking to her a lot. She's like the owl in Link's Awakening. She just kind of shows up every once in a while to tell Link where he needs to go next. And with that, we are off on our epic quest, and believe me, this is one of the coolest quests Link has ever gone on. This series is no stranger to time travel. It's always been around, but I think this is my favorite use of it in the series. When you are first given the ability to time travel, you can only do it by standing on these very specific points to move back and forth between the past and present. But later, you run into this guy and he teaches you a way to jump back in time from anywhere, while leaving a temporary portal for you to get back to the present. And your mind just explodes at the sheer amount of new possibilities and puzzles that can be solved now. And then you go even further in the game, and you're given the ability to jump back and forth freely, without ever needing a portal, and you feel like a god. I love this sort of progression. It's like when you finally get running shoes in Pokemon. And then a bike. And then you get the ability to fly. The slow upgrades and additional freedom of movement is such a great feeling. Like when you can finally teleport in Dark Souls 1. And that's not the only mechanic that works like that. A lot of gear you get in the game get upgrades as you progress. You got a bag that holds a bunch of seeds that do a variety of things? That's nice. Now you can shoot them. You got a bracelet that lets you pick up heavy rocks? Here's a gauntlet that lets you lift statues. You got some swimming flippers to swim through rivers? Here's a freaking mermaid tail that lets you dive into the bottom of the sea to talk to the Zoras and meet the great Jabu Jabu. Yeah, he's in this game. And the memories are starting to come back. There is so much cool stuff in this game. I could go on for days, but I don't want to put you through that. Instead, I'm just going to give you some highlights, and then you can just go and play the game yourself. Have you ever wanted to ride in a kangaroo's pouch? Well, that kangaroo can attack enemies with twister punches? Or how about ride on a giant blue bear with wings? Guess what? This game has that. Are you tired of fetch quests that last the entire game and you would rather it be contained to a single chapter and be a lot more strategic and story focused? This game has that. Do you want to have a freaking dance-off with a Goron? This game has that. And if you're worried about the story not being as good as other Zelda games, don't worry. We've got a great story here too. I mentioned that the game has some darker, more serious tones, and those moments don't stop at the beginning. There's this part of the game where you're told to go to a town up in the mountains, and that they would have the next magical MacGuffin to collect. So we start our march up there, and I'm just going to show you what happens when you get there. This gave me chills the first time I played the game. I was not expecting to walk into a ghost town full of fire demons. Just huge major mood change. This game is just the best. If you haven't played it yet, please, go play it. I've hardly touched on any of the good stuff that have happened in this game. You will not be disappointed. And if you don't have a physical copy of this obscure Game Boy Color game, there are other ways to play. But I didn't tell you that. That would be illegal. But really, go play the game. I need more people to be talking about this game, so please, just play it. Go. Hey everyone, if you're still around for this far into the video, thanks for sticking around and watching it. This took me way too long to get out, learning a new medium and all that. I hope you like the style. I experiment a lot, and I really want to do animated videos, and so here's hoping this works out. Expect more stuff in the future, hopefully, more animated things like this, and, you know, the like and subscribe stuff people say these days. Got any topics you want me to talk about, just put in a comment. Bye!